Why we can't have nice shit, Sean? Oh wow, look
Everyone's
at that.
late. We're fucking around.
Yeah,
There we go. There we go.
They aren't that scuffed. Ollie, thank you for the raid, by the way.
Now this shit is mad elegant.
We fucking.
I'm not fucking any of you.
He's a man of God.
Man of Christ.
Debatable.
All right, my dudes. What is up?
What's poppin'?
Don't mind me, just watch it.
So, those of you guys that don't know, this is a neat little podcast that we do called Cantaurpio every Wednesday night. Talking about roleplay today. We got old MrGhoul. Has quite a bit of experience in roleplay and other avenues and such. Obviously tying into that, we're going to talk about cosplay and shit as well. But first off, for those of you guys that don't know me that are coming over with Ollie, I'm a boosted streamer. I play some DBD. I play some WoW. And
who are you?
Who are you? But yeah, that's me, Puka. Who the fuck are you?
I'm a fucking god.
All right.
Just a fucking dipshit. I don't know. They all know who I am. I don't need to fucking introduce myself.
Freddy Krueger has joined. You guys all know her.
Hello.
MrGhoul, you want to give a little intro? Talk about what you do and all that good shit.
I mean, I guess. God, put me on the spot. I really don't do shit. I used to do.
We're
stuff.
all unimportant, just fucking idiots.
Yeah.
You're all here for Ollie.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, most of y'all know me. I'm MrGhoul, Mr. G, whatever you want to call. Don't matter. I like to fuck around. I like to get sweaty.
I didn't come here to fuck around.
And I like to stay elegant.
Like, yeah, I'm most known for being married to Ghoul Bagel.
Yeah. If you know me,
big same.
By the way, how do you like the audio quality, Sean?
It sounds lovely.
No, you. I love that shirt, by the way. It
sounds so good. I know, it's fucking legit. You don't even know.
Oh, by the way, that welcome thing that's on your wall right there, we had that same thing for Halloween last year. Like the exact same one.
Yeah, I'll probably never take it down. I'm too lazy. I'm very lazy. I'm a very lazy person.
Hell yeah.
That's just kind of how it is. But
tonight's gonna be a fairly fun topic.
Yeah.
So first I kind of want to get into with each of us kind of what roleplay means to you. Me personally, like, well, obviously, you know, assuming a character, building a character, whether it's a character you created on your own, I think obviously lends it to a bit of a better experience. But I think it's completely fine to, you know, be like, hey, I want to roleplay as, you know, Ghoul Bagel or whatever. I'm going to become Ghoul Bagel, you know. I think that's mostly fine. Or like, you know, if there's an existing fictional character or whatever. But, and like also like it's like an avenue to kind of, you know, escape from reality, become someone else for a little bit, you know. So I think that's a lot of fun, and I think cosplay definitely lends itself to that. It's so hard to describe. Freaking...
This bitch.
So what happened?
I don't know.
All right.
We coordinated.
Oh, I see. What about you, Ollie?
I don't know where mine is.
What does roleplay mean to you?
Well, I've kind of been role-playing on and off since... I'm going to out myself and embarrass myself a little bit, but if anybody in the chat knows what Gaia Online is...
Oh, me.
I joined Gaia Online for the first time in like 2008, and that's when I started like...
2003!
Yeah, like... Role-playing there was just like text-based, and it was all just like creating different stories. Like, you know, they would give you like a base, and it was just something to like build my writing skills usually. And then it kind of fell off until the last like couple of years. And Puka and I mainly write together now. Like, it's been a while since we've actually sat down and written anything. But mainly what we write is Pazuzu and Azrael. And while we're also building stories and like basically whole lives for these characters that we use like TikTok to portray, and it's definitely an art form for me, and it's a lot of fun. And I get a little self-conscious when like other people read my writing. But finding Puka and having somebody to actually like, because it's not just about writing with Puka, it's like I read what Puka writes, and then I'm like, okay, now it's like up to me to like do just as good and like push myself to write just as much, and like really like try to progress the storyline and build these characters. And you know, we can Puka and I can like role play for hours, and we can write these like 1,000-word posts about having drinks at a bar.
Okay, well, what about you, Puka? What does role play mean to you? What all does that word mean? It's a pretty loaded word.
Not really. I mean it's just
kinda.
not really, because like there's different types of role play. All you do is get into a character and you play as that character. That's pretty much what it means to me. And that can be in real life with LARPing. That could be literary RP. That could be in a game. As long as you are portraying a character that is outside yourself, or yourself in an alternate universe even, what have you, you're basically just playing in a role.
And that's it? That's it for you?
That's it. That's all.
What about you, Sean?
Yeah, she's Canadian. She shouldn't have much to say. I mean,
shut up, Tilty.
Role-playing is kind of just like it's a way for some people to really disconnect. You know, when I didn't get too hardcore into role-play of any stretch until, you know, Ollie and Puka met each other, because there was a lot of stuff we used to do with our TikTok videos in terms of like the characters that we created, and then within the role play, and we were able to go into that story. And it's really a cool way to like just disconnect from what you do in terms of real life. You know, you could do a lot of realistic RP, but then it gives you an opportunity to really expand your mind and go much bigger than just your everyday things. You know, you really start using critical thinking skills to really create and move a story along, because especially when you do it with somebody else, you're not just doing your own story, you're trying to help progress other people as well. And that's one thing, you know, Ollie would always tell me. She's like, oh, these people that I'm like, they're helping me become better writers or better this, that, or the other, you know, so you feed off each other as well. So it's just a good thing to use to just disconnect and experiment.
Yeah, I definitely like the way that you described it. I definitely agree, because like not only are you like, you know, this is the way my character acts and shit like that, right? But like you have like past experiences of that character that kind of like shape who they are, you know, like once you get more in depth to it. Yeah, there's just so much you can do, you know. So the kind of leading into that, I'll just go right back to you, Sean. What are your experiences kind of like in role play as well as cosplay? I know you do a lot with GTA RP, correct?
Yeah. I don't have a ton of like cosplay experience.
I know you've done a few, right?
What?
You've done a few, right?
Yeah, I did some videos on TikTok. I don't do them really anymore. Like I had a couple characters, like I had Zyranu and then Samael, which is like a horn thing from a whole different story. I just don't do them anymore. But I do RP now within GTA community. So I am actually, it's a fully like modded server. It's not like online, no affiliation with Rockstar by any stretch. And I am part of a sheriff unit, and we go around. I'm also in like a subdivision now, and it's full on legit. Like we've got like our penal code references to the United States Penal Code. We've got all the laws. We've got policies and procedures that we follow, and we drive around like in this video game. And the only officers you see are actual players from different divisions. Like we have the Blaine County Sheriff's Office, we have the Highway Patrol, we've got the Los Santos Police Department, Paleto Bay, Sandy Shores, like tons of people. There's close to 2,000 players in this community, and it's full RP, you know, and we even have different rules and regulations about there's fail RP, or there's also force RP. You know, there's different types of RP within it, and you just have to learn a bit about it. You know, yeah, you might want a scene to go a certain way, and you know, there's also like, you know, meta and stuff like that, where, you know, you can just tell someone's over there, like, well, let me go stalk them and make this work. I'm like, dude, that's, you don't do it that way. You know, you try to be as realistic as possible. Like when it comes down to it, yeah, it's a game, and but you just try and be as realistic as possible. But that's going to be my main experience with roleplay, is just going to be the one group that I was in with Ollie and Puka back on TikTok, when I had the Zyranu and Samael characters, and then now currently within the GTA roleplay community.
So I guess doing, for you anyway, doing like kind of less of a fantasy roleplay kind of thing, doing more realistic, do you think it's lended you like any kind of like real life skills at all?
Maybe a little. I kind of feel that my real life skills from what I used to do for work actually translated into this RP, kind of like the other way around.
Interesting.
Because, you know, I used to work, I could talk about it now. I used to work for Guitar Center. I did for 11 years, and most of it in management. So I had all that experience, and you can actually put retail into an RP setting. And the way you kind of look at it is because, you know, we all have our personalities. You know, I'll say something in your chat and you'll be like, get fucked. And I'm like, all right, cool. You know, it's just how we act. But we don't act like that towards like a customer or someone pissed off. We put on this RP work cosplay, and someone's come up and we do everything we can, even if it's kissing their ass and saying the wrong bullshit just to get them through it. You know, we're RPing through these scenes with these customers to get through it, and then the second they're away, it's like you're smiling, and the second you turn around, you go to your resting bitch face, you know.
That's kind of a good point. I never really thought. I guess you could even extend that to like live streaming or even the YouTubing too, especially the YouTubing, because it's a lot more, you know, played up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you could do that a lot with, you know, even people on Twitch. You go into someone's channel, you know, you see how they act on their stream and doing all this, but you don't know how they really truly are. You know, they could be RPing a lot of the stuff that they do. They could totally be 100% a fake person, you know. I'm a very judgmental person. I judge the shit out of everybody. And a lot of times I can get my judgments right, but I could tell when someone's being fake. Like even on Twitch, I can tell when someone's being fake or if they're being true. But I take a lot of my going back, I take a lot of my experiences from that I've had in retail and interactions with so many different diverse people in life, and I could take that into my roleplay experience, like let's say in GTA. So if I'm on a certain scene or situation, whether it's, you know, a pissed off person I've just pulled over, or some search and rescue thing, or an interaction, you know, with a little kid in the backyard who hurt his brother, you know, I have different experiences with handling those different situations, you know. So yeah, I'd say that's my experiences with that. I don't have much in cosplay though.
Yeah. I've done one cosplay, which is I literally just put on a Michael Myers mask. So like, yeah, that's about all I did.
The easier the better for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Now these two over here.
Yeah, and that's what we're getting into. Which one of you boosted animals wants to go first?
I'll go first. I'll take the heat off, waifu.
Sure. Tell us about your experiences, dude.
So my experience with RP started literary on Gaia as well. But a lot of my RP also came from LARPing, so that's live action role play, which is basically you are a character and you fight based off a certain point system similar to D&D.
Yep.
Big nerd stuff.
It's big nerd stuff.
When my brother and I were little, we used to really want to get into LARPing, and like the closest we ever got was we had these like this like little plastic like mini putt set, you know, and we sawed the heads off of the clubs and taped pool noodles around them, and then we just
they
like
do use pool noodle.
Yeah, we talked in like, you know, just like classic medieval accents and just went in the backyard and beat the shit out of each other. So like,
I mean, that
was our experience.
But I also do like a lot of literary RP now. I'm in multiple RP servers. A lot of my OCs that you see on TikTok, they belong to some sort of Discord RP server, and they have been developed not only in TikTok, but mostly in the Discord server. So like what you see on TikTok is just a sliver of what they are as characters. The other kind of RP is TOS, so I'm not going to get into that.
You mean the RP between freaking Azrael and Zuzu?
No, that stuff, that's tame.
That shit
that's
get
vanilla.
TOS. That
I mean,
can get TOS.
No, that's been, I mean, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's 100% exactly what I'm talking about. 100%. Yeah. Okay.
So like, I guess a good way to transition from Pukadali too, I'll ask both of you, what kind of took you from like text-based role play into becoming like the kind of hardcore cosplayers you are now?
It's weird because like I didn't really think I was ever going to be honest. But when both Mr. and I joined TikTok around the same time because we missed Vine, and we watched we watched for a very long time, and then I started to you know, it got to be around like it got to be around October, which is where I usually start to get like inspiration to do like spooky makeups and stuff like that. And then slowly but surely my For You page started getting into like the makeup side and the cosplay side, and I started falling in love with all these different characters and seeing these people bring their characters to life and having all these little like tiny little idiosyncrasies to these characters. It was just like I fell in love with them. And it was an old friend of mine and Puka's that was the first person to be like, well, actually it was MrGhoul who gave like the first like initial push, and then a couple other people were just like, you know, you should make a character. You should join our tag. Like, we would love to see, like, we love your makeup and like really think that you would be really good fit for our storyline. So I sat in my bathroom sink with my eyeliner and I drew lines on my face. And how I created Pazuzu and Murmur, I literally went to Google. I typed in list of demon names in alphabetical order. Any name that like caught my eye, I would like open a tab and then I'd read all their history and like how they were as like demons and stuff. And Pazuzu and Murmur. Pazuzu was first, and I just really the attitude, that the history and the lore of Pazuzu fit the attitude and the personality traits that I was trying to use for my Pazuzu.
Sure.
So yeah, and then just slowly, like, it helps a lot when you have other people to cosplay with and role play with. Pazuzu would not nearly be as fleshed out if not for Puka. Because my character Pazuzu and Puka's character Azrael just, like, they vibe really well. Hey, you're in your chonies. Oh. But, yeah.
And mine was very similar. I've been a cosplayer for quite a while. I've cosplayed lots of different characters before TikTok, but once I actually got into TikTok, that was where I saw original characters. And original characters, you know, with LARPing and such, you do make an original character, but it's not really the kind of LARPing that I did. You didn't have a background story, really. I mean, you kind of could, but it wasn't applicable to the gameplay that you were doing. Like any kind of backstory or whatever story arcs you have with your own character. It's not like D&D, where it applies to what you're doing currently, because it just didn't. It wasn't that far in depth. We mostly just went there to beat the shit out of each other for fun. With math. And then so once I got to TikTok and I saw all these people making demons and all, you know, vampires and all these other things, I was like, you know what? And this was when I was really big into Skyrim. I was like, I'm gonna make my Skyrim orc. So I took my leather, like my pauldrons and my chest armor from my LARPing character, and I made my Skyrim orc from it, which is Garuna, which is an unfortunate, and that was before I even knew World of Warcraft, which is an unfortunate correlation of names with Garona. So a lot of people thought that I just spelt it wrong, and I was like, no, this is my Skyrim orc. So like that's where my first original character kind of came from, was my orc. And if you knew my orc in the very beginning to where she is now, you would see a huge development with everything that has happened as far as like her as a character, even the way that she looks, everything like that. So with those characters in mind, me making more characters and finding more audios and getting more inspiration and wanting to do more original content with cosplay, I then found like little hashtag homes for all of them, which they would be like, hey, well, let's go into a Discord server and write their stories and let's develop these characters. And so I developed the characters with all of these other people with storylines fleshed out, and that would be what kind of like bridge the gap between cosplaying these original characters, cosplaying in general, and then doing literary role play. And then with that literary role play, I could then take inspiration from my writing and make TikTok videos out of it. So it was kind of like a dual purpose thing.
Yeah, that's kind of how it was with me, especially like a lot of people will scroll back in my TikTok feed and see how differences between my characters to how they are now. Like Murmur, for instance, Murmur's gone through so many changes, and it's mainly based on like storylines that I've been in. And I can't tell you how many audios I have saved on my TikTok of like, you know, when I get back into those characters, like I'm going to use these audios. And like, as of right now, like I'm not in any storylines. I've had such like a weird year of like zero inspiration and motivation to cosplay or anything. But the urge is slowly getting back.
Yeah.
Good, because I'll probably do Asriel content tomorrow, so because I shaved my head fresh.
So I mean, with me, my experience role playing, I don't have very much cosplay. Like I said, like I think it was like 2 years ago or so on Halloween, I did a Michael Myers thing in DBD. But literally, like all I did was like I wore a jumpsuit, wore the Myers mask, and just didn't fucking talk like the whole time. But as far as roleplay, mine's very similar to Sean's in that it's mostly tied into video games. Most of the roleplay I've done is through. I haven't done a ton of it, but I have. You know, I think I spent like a year or so on an RP server in WoW. And I don't know. I honestly wasn't the best at it. I broke character a lot and stuff like that because I just I just fucking forgot.
No.
But like, and I wouldn't mean to either. But yeah, I mean, you know, just kind of. I believe I was I was still a Death Knight because that's what I was used to playing. Like, you know, I had made a whole story about like what my character did in life and like all this shit, right? And my character had this arc where like he wanted to like use his afterlife to be a better person and shit. And so I mean that was mainly my experience, but I know that like whenever I talk about it with a lot of people, I guess I have played D&D quite a bit too. That also counts as role play.
It does, yeah.
So actually, yeah, so funny. The last time I played D&D was with our brother-in-law, and that was one of the ones where I didn't create an OC, but like I'd kind of assumed another character, which was Brooke from One Piece. He's like he's basically
Yeah.
like a guy that got brought back to life, but like after so long, his body had decayed, so he was a skeleton. And like it was just funny because like he's a really goofy guy, and he goes like yo ho ho just like all the time, right? So like and like based off of his character, I made a warlock that was like super high in charisma, right? So like it was just really fun. So yeah, I guess that's part of my experience too.
Yeah.
But
I mean go ahead.
Oh no, you're good.
And I mean with role play too, in that aspect is with D&D and with LARP and everything, you can get super into character, or like you said, you could just be out of character or break character all the time. It's really hard sometimes to really stay in character, especially if you're in person. Find literary RP is easier to stay in character.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was gonna say a lot of. I'm sure Sean hasn't experienced this much just because like GTA RP is such a huge popular thing recently. But I know especially with WoW, whenever you talk to people who like haven't done much role play, their first instinct I've found is always like, "Oh wow, you trying to like fuck a night elf or some shit, right?" Like,
Yeah.
I get that all the time, dude, and it's like. No, dude, like, I just want to, I want to be a fucking holy paladin guided by the light or some shit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, and a lot of people, they, as soon as you say role play, they immediately correlate that with something that's NSFW almost immediately. And there's a lot of people that are embarrassed about it, or that, or they're not good at it, so then they make fun of it because they can't do it, or they see people that are actually really enjoying themselves while they do it, and they make fun immediately because they don't understand it. And a lot of people don't understand that it can take you out of like your headspace of being you. If you need like kind of a break, you can have that experience of being someone else for a little while.
Yeah, and that was something I wanted to get into later, but we can now too. Just kind of like people who aren't like super exposed to RP or cosplay and stuff like that. Like, I feel like initially there can be like a big kind of like negative stereotype or like preconception, right? Like, wow, this is fucking weird. Like, why are they dressed up like that? Like, what the fuck? What's the point in that? So have you guys experienced that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially as cosplayers. People don't understand cosplaying.
Yeah, like even my most recent cosplay, like I never RP'd with Coco because Coco is an Animal Crossing character, but I still get comments on my Coco videos where it's just like, like, what the fuck is this shit? Blah 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 blah. And then there's so many people, and it doesn't help that like TikTok is just like probably like one of the most toxic fucking apps, honestly, because there's a lot of shitty people on there. But I have found that, I make this content that I genuinely enjoy, and like when I'm making content, like I've made content with Mr's characters and Puka's characters and stuff, and I just genuinely enjoy it, and I get a lot of like, I don't know, it makes me happy. And then like seeing people that like they just like, oh, this is cringe, or oh, this is like, why are you dressed like that, or like, oh, like, aren't you a little old to still be in your emo phase and shit like that? I'm like, you get fucked.
Yeah.
When she's talking about like stuff that she's enjoyed, she uses RP. Like, see, I know Ollie a lot more than a lot of people.
No,
I would hope so.
Get out of here. You're kidding.
we try and stay elegant, you know what I'm saying? But she uses RP as a way to express emotions. You know, you have a lot of people that do different things where it's kind of like, oh, let me create my live journal. Throwing it back real quick there, but let me write in a journal. Let me do an art piece where I draw this. Let me put it into writing a song. You know, like a lot of Ollie's goes into her cosplay, you know, so her emotions become her characters and she's able to express it that way, which in turn is actually art too at the same time, you know, which is something that's really cool.
Aww.
Oh,
Get fucked.
What happened?
Puka being dumb. Puka being Puka.
What are you talking about? I wasn't doing shit.
So the next thing I wanted to get into, any bad experiences role playing or cosplaying. So like, and what I mean by that is like, so not only something that's like stuck with you is like, God, I fucking hated this moment, right? But like also people that like kind of ruined the character you were doing or like ruined what you were going for, stuff like that. I can tell Puka has a good one here. So
I just have to say one name and Waifu will know exactly who I'm talking about.
Don't call out any names of like specific people.
No, it's my own character name.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say.
Waifu. Victor.
Isn't that the one that we met you on?
Yes.
Like the one that's not a baby.
Let's take our own journey, shall we? So Victor was one of my characters who I killed off. He was in a Discord server, my first Discord server that I started RPing in. This was also the one that my orc belonged to as well. Now I was in a dark place when I created this character. This character was my need for certain things in my life that I wasn't getting, and it was just a reflection of myself. All of my OCs are little bits and pieces of my personality, just like amplified. So Victor went through a depressive episode, and I bawled my fucking eyes out when I was writing it out. It affected me for like a week long period. It was awful.
Wow.
And I had to write my character that I associated myself with this character. I had to write my character going through an extreme mental breakdown, a depressive episode, them losing their partner and being alone. And like having to write all of that out was me already writing a lot of feelings that I already had. So it was a horrible experience. I would do it again if I needed it. I felt like I needed it at the time. It was definitely something that I will remember forever.
Mm-hmm.
But it was absolutely so emotional. And it was probably one of the most emotional experiences that I'd ever had with an RP character. But having to write out all of these feelings that this character was feeling, I was like, well, I know what that feels like, so let's write it out. And I know what that feels like, so let's write it out. So like all of that negativity that I had experienced in my life was now on paper for like everyone to read. And they had no idea until now. But like, that was an awful experience. But I think it was also necessary at the same time.
Sure. I mean, me personally, the only thing I can think is like that I've experienced, at least through WoW RP, is like forced role play. Like and unfortunately most of them are all like the people that try to make it overtly sexual.
Yeah, that's a consent issue.
Yeah, it's a pretty heavy thing in certain WoW servers. But yeah, those are always like super awkward, and you're just I think that's part of the reason I stopped trying to do it too. And I'll also say like it's a small part of the people that do WoW RP, right? But it still happens, and it's a little awkward. But I mean, that's really all my bad experiences. I mean, Ollie, do you have like bad negative experiences role playing or cosplaying that come to mind for you?
I've had people that tried to force content with me, that would try to like make these storylines with my characters without my permission, and
Same.
they would. I've had people write disgusting stories about my character, and like either like the character of theirs or like a self-insert of themselves.
Same.
And I just and then I've also been in servers where, you know, people know me and they want to role play with my character so badly that they just push it and push it, and it just like I can't force content, and I can't force storylines with people. Like if our characters don't mesh, then our characters don't mesh. And it's just going to be a negative experience for both of us. But I've had people like go off the rails on me because they wanted to RP with me so bad, and I said no.
Yeah.
And that's
How
one of
dare
the
you.
things, like Waifu and I have always said, we don't control our characters. Our characters are pretty much their own entities, and we don't really flesh out storylines. We might have like a foundation of a storyline, but how we get from point A to point B, we don't know. We just get there eventually and we figure it out, and it's nothing that we decide. Our characters just do their own thing and they figure out their own things. Honestly, if Waifu and my character didn't mesh as well as they did in the beginning, it wouldn't have been what it is now.
Yeah.
And that's if their characters, if our characters' personalities collided at all, it wouldn't be what it is now. But because our characters are the way that they are, and because they mesh so well, it became something far greater than both of us.
I think it also helps that like it comes down to like, even though like what Puka was saying about how we don't control our characters, like they kind of like we write the story, but like it just kind of writes itself at some point. But I don't think if Puka and I didn't mesh as well as we did, like we used to sit for like hours, just being like, oh, like, and we'll send each other videos and like little things that remind us of each other's characters and stuff, and it like makes little appearances in our stories and stuff. And that comes back to like my experience with people. Like I didn't like Pazuzu wouldn't like their character, but it also comes down to their writing style, and themselves as a person. Like if I don't vibe with the person too well, I'm probably not going to vibe with their characters too well. Because I've always said, for me personally anyway, like when I created my characters, they are their own entities, but they are part of me as well. And I take aspects of myself that like, you know, I'm not brave enough to show, or like I'm too insecure, and I put them into these characters, and it helps me actually like gain the courage to be like more confident, more of a shitty person sometimes with an attitude.
Wow.
But it like even just like Pazuzu, for instance, like Pazuzu I created because like I don't have confidence in everyday life. Like I don't like the way I look, and like I'm afraid to speak up, and I'm afraid to like do all these things, and I put them into Pazuzu, and like even now, like 2 years later, like I'm a completely different person, and I definitely have both of my OCs to thank for that, and like all the people that have written with me with those OCs.
What about you, Sean? Have you do GTA stuff? I'm sure you've had at least a couple bad experiences as far as like 4-star P and shit goes.
Getting his ear cut off.
Okay, so there was this one scene. It wasn't necessarily forced RP. Like when it comes to like bad RP now, like whether it's in like GTA or whatever, it's mainly just because someone's either doing the same shit or they're not even trying. Like they're really like they didn't see this going a certain way. Like you have to realize when you RP with someone else, there's two sides to a story, and you need to like be on your toes to. You can kind of guide it a certain way, but you can't make sure it ends a certain way. And some people will just do that shit and you're just like, come on. You know, it's like in the game, for example, just like game mechanics, right? If I go up and I pit your car, obviously your car is going to go until it actually blows up, but in real life your car would be disabled. You know, there's people that can get hit like 5 fucking times and they just keep going, or they launch off a cliff and all of a sudden they're still like, how are you driving? You know, and that's part of like the fail RP. Or it's like, oh, they ditched their car and they're running now and they go into the water, but now they're swimming for like 35 minutes and 25 of it they're underwater. It's like, okay, no.
Okay, so but before you go on, I wanna branch off that a little bit. So let me ask you this. So obviously nostalgious, or not nostalgious, god damn it.
We're all having problems with English today.
It's the WoW classic, fucking the old WoW classic servers. What's the fucking the big GTA server where like Summit and all them fucking played?
For who?
Like Summit, you know,
I don't know where Summit plays.
That big fucking, like, the huge RP server for GTA.
Are you talking about the one that I'm in?
No Pixel.
No Pixel.
That's the one.
Oh, yeah.
So,
No Pixel's a big one.
So with that thing blowing up and, like, all the extra shit that people do on there, right? Kind of a lot of the same shit you're talking about. Do you think, like, people seeing that and, like, that server pretty much blowing up this whole GTA RP thing, do you think a lot of people are trying to replicate that, so that's causing a lot more forced stuff?
Not necessarily. So there's each community's got their own different rules and regulations. There's tons of different like just GTA roleplay communities out there. And they all have their different sets of rules and regulations. You know, I joined the one that I joined because I felt that it was a little bit more professional and not super relaxed. You know, even before this, I was in a group called Coalition, which was a military simulation game called Arma. And we actually do your missions and everything like that. But it wasn't, there's some Arma groups out there that are super hardcore military simulation. Like you pretty much have to be in the military to join that type of community, where I don't have military experience. I don't have law enforcement experience, but I was in that one. That's more of a relaxed mil sim game. But you know, each group's got different standards, you know, and the reason why I joined the one I did is because I would go on, you know, to Twitch and look at different role play communities within GTA and be like, okay, this doesn't seem so super realistic. Like they're just literally smashing into each other and driving off road and opposite lanes. Okay, they're killing like 50 people in this pursuit. Like it's not super real. Like they're not slowing down before an intersection, or you know, it's pretty much a modded GTA Online. There's some communities out there that are just modded GTA Online, and I don't want to be a part of that. I want to be something like, yeah, it's modded, but you know, it's realistic. Like there's rules and regulations. There's stuff you can and cannot do. You know, there's a strike system, and if you keep messing up, like you will be removed from the community. Like I like standards when it comes to like RP settings that I'm gonna be in. I can't remember what your question was.
Just bad experiences in roleplay.
Gotcha. Yeah. I
mean, and kind of going off of that, Puka asked a question. Do you have something else?
No, she said talk about my finger getting cut off, so I can tell you the story about that. So there, like when it comes to bad, there's some good, but it goes into like both sides of the story doing it, you know. So obviously in the game there's stuff that happens. I was kidnapped on a scene as a ranger. And there's been other kidnappings before where like the law enforcement person, the LEO, would not RP. They'd be like, oh, tapes on mouth, not talking, and then they just be quiet for the whole time. You know, but for me, like I wanted to contribute as well, because then that helps both sides of the RP. So, you know, I'm going up to a call where someone's caught too much fish and, you know, I need to go check it out, and they're not saying anything, and all of a sudden 2 dudes get out of his truck with,
I fucking love this story so much,
with automatic rifles, and they're like, put your hands up right now. I'm like, great. So I get kidnapped, they tie me up, they take away my radio and everything like that. Of course I have to RP that I don't have my radio, and we start cruising. Like they did leave my truck there, and because my backup hadn't arrived yet because it's a no radio zone. And then they take me and tie me up, and they're super pissed at rangers because they're just trying to feed their families by hunting, but we go out, and if they don't have a hunting permit, we take their stuff. So they're pissed at us. So they want to make it prove a point. So like they're just going through it, and it's getting so super real just with the role plays. It's like, do you have a family? Do you think they'll miss you? you know,
What the
like getting into it, right? And I'm like, yeah, I got 2 kids and a wife, and you know, yeah, I think they'll miss me. Like, do you ever kill your kids that you love them before bed? Like, getting super
What the
real
fuck?
with it. Yeah, it got real dark for a minute, and then like eventually, like they realized that, hey, this law enforcement, this LEO is missing, and then they start doing a statewide hunt, and then the helicopter unit finds us. It's this huge pursuit. So they want to prove a point, so they cut off one of my fingers, right?
So good.
And they toss it out the back window and hit the pursuit car.
Yeah, they did.
With my finger. But when they cut my finger off, like I RP'd, like we have a text box where you can RP in action.
Yeah.
I RP'd that I spit in his face. He's like, "Oh, you're gonna regret that." And then he cuts my ear off. And so like I pull my mic away. I pull my mic away and I scream like a different angle, so it's like all super realistic.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I RP that's just blood flowing, so they start patching me up.
Just blood
flowing.
Like,
and then they look at me and they're like, "So have you ever done any hard stuff?" I'm just like,
what the fuck?
Fuck you. What are you talking about? And then they're like, grab the box. You know, we're driving in a pursuit this time, right?
And then he pulled out like a master level Sudoku puzzle.
He pulled out this master needle and injects me with heroin. I'm like, I've never done this shit. So during this scene, I'm on Google, like, what are the reactions of being injected? Like,
oh my
I'm like,
God.
okay. So I'm RPing the whole thing. But like, you know, they eventually get the pursuit staff. They get me, they save me, they airlift me to a hospital. They were able to like get me all taken care of. Of course, I'm missing a finger and an ear now because my finger's on the highway somewhere. And they get the other guys. But you know, me just contributing just a little bit that I did helped that scene go even further. You know, it helped evolve their role play scene. Like, had I just been kidnapped and be quiet and just laid in the back of this truck, they wouldn't have probably cut my finger off from my ear. They might have still done it anyway. I don't know. Yeah. But it just helps it. And at the end of the scene, you know, I even got a message from one of the civs that did it. And he was like, "Thank you for participating and contributing to that scene, because it just helps it become more realistic and evolve it. And like the interactions, you don't know which way it's going to go. You don't know how someone's going to react. You know, there's tons of even just like simple scenes that we do. Hey, we got a 911 call about some kid on a billboard, and you go over there and some kid on a billboard. A lot of people would just be like, "Oh, tase them," or "Getting off the billboard," blah, 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 blah. But then you have some that are like, they'll go up there and be like, "Hey, can I sit with you? You know, talk to me. What's up? What's wrong? You know, what's going on?" And you get these super in-depth long stories. But when you're watching the game, it's literally just 2 characters sitting there. Yeah. But you have the 2 people interacting with their RP, getting super in-depth with that. And I've seen some really killer scenes with that. But yeah, that story getting kidnapped, that's been fun. I haven't had anything hardcore since then, but
that's my favorite story of all time.
But that was pretty good. That was a good time.
So Puka asked a question in the our group chat. What is basic RP etiquette? And I feel like this kind of like bad experiences ties into that. But also, let me add another question to it. Do you think like during these bad experiences where like it's super forced or just like way out of character, doesn't make sense, anything like that, do you think it's okay to like break character a little bit and be like, "Yo, I'm not comfortable with this. I don't want this. This isn't the way my character would do this. This feels forced," etc., stuff like that?
Absolutely. There's usually like a separate dialogue that you have with the other people that you are RPing with, where you can contact them and talk about consent between characters and stuff. And that also bridges the gap kind of between etiquette. Is you don't make decisions on what happens with another character. You can only make an effect toward that character, like in literary RP anyways, usually, and they decide what the reaction is. Like, for instance, Mr's RP that you just heard of, there's kind of like that blanket consent in a way that the way that he RPs, it's kind of just like they already have a predisposed understanding of what's okay and what's not okay. Whereas like with other RP, especially with people that you don't know, like I'm sure he has his own established rules and everything like that. I can't speak for him, but like usually when you go into an RP server, there is rules there, but there is a generalized etiquette
that you don't god mod. So you can't make your character impenetrable. You can't make your
Right.
character better or overpowered compared to everyone else. You know, if someone throws a hit at you, sometimes people roll dice to see if it'll hit and how much damage it takes if they're in an RP battle scene. Otherwise, they'll just kind of be fair, or they'll have a predetermined outcome of that battle.
Yeah.
But like etiquette is, it's basic consent where you ask like, hey, is this okay? Is this okay? Is this okay? And if it is, then you can do it. And if a person says no, then absolutely not. Especially if you start doing like the more smut or like sexual RP and stuff like that. That's a lot. When you're taking someone's personality and someone's original character and you're doing things like that with them, you definitely need to have consent, because sometimes people see themselves as these characters and it can hit triggers with people. So you have to be careful about what you do and make sure that it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's like, just in the community I'm with, like, too, like, there's also like different levels and ground rules. Like when you're talking about like consent and stuff, like there's some like blacklisted words, like some phrases that you're not allowed to use, you know. But at the same time, like there's different structures, like just within like the civilian community. Like when you start, you can't like automatically just join the community and go and just start, you know, making all these pursuits and killing cops and kidnapping people. Like you have to work your way to get to that level. You know, you have to be trusted to be able to do a scene like that and handle it professionally and realistically. You know, when you first join, yeah, you get someone lights you up and pulling you over, you have to pull over, you know, and you just have to get your traffic ticket, and that's it, because you need to learn how to build that trust and get all that to where you can create those scenes and do it in a professional manner. You know, it's similar to like, you know, a lot of like, whether it's LARPing or other stuff like that, you know, even just between Ollie and Puka, you know, when they started their cosplay, they didn't just go right into these two characters just, you know, becoming a thing. You know, they slowly worked it up and built the trust up. They figured out what the boundaries were and were able to like grow and progress their characters, but they figured out the boundaries along the way.
Yeah, I think also some Puka said reminded me of kind of like when you kind of like role play as kids a little bit, like when you're just like, you know, messing around and shit, like with your siblings or friends or what be it, like you're having a battle or something, and like they're like, well, I stab you, and then they're like, well, I have this infinite armor that protects me from stabbing.
Yeah,
and
that's
like
fail RP.
like,
God
you just like keep building off and off of that. So like,
right, yeah, that's fail RP,
yeah,
which is not fun.
What about you, Ollie?
And it takes the fun out of it.
So Ollie, do you think there are definitely instances where like not only it's okay to like break RP and be like, hey, you know, like this sucks, and then like, and like also like what's like basic like RP etiquette for you?
It definitely comes down to consent for me, because like I've done combat RP where I've had it on both ends, where people like, you know, force blows, force hits and stuff like that, or there's on the other end where it's actually fluid, and like, you know, if my character lunges at another character, like it gives that other character that I'm role playing with a chance to either dodge or take the hit. And but then, you know, Luca and I are like best friends, and we've had fucking like in-depth conversation about like what's okay, what's not okay. You know, something that like we'd be willing to try and write and whatnot. But definitely if there are situations that like I'm not enjoying how the character, the story's going or progressing, or how the other person that I'm writing with is doing things like god modding and forcing things and trying to get me to do things that I'm not comfortable with, even after whether I've expressed it or not. And then after I express it, like they still continue to try to take it past a point. And so if I'm getting into a situation that I'm no longer comfortable with, I will break character completely, and we will either break and reconvene into a different storyline, or not at all. But it's all about like consent and communication for me when it comes to role playing, because especially when you're using like OCs, because a lot of people are very heavily connected to their original characters and take a lot of themselves and put them into the characters, whether they realize it or not a lot of the time.
Yeah, for sure.
I think when you had brought up like breaking out of character, I think that was part of the question. It was like, it's definitely okay to break out of character, you know, if it's going to help either progress the scene or just kind of like get it back on track. So because sometimes it can fall off track, you know, and that even happens with what I do in GTA. You know, we'll just be going and it'll be like, hey, real quick, out of character, you know, this, you know, and it'll be just really quick, and they'll be like, okay, let's continue, you know. And you just go from there. Plus we also have different ways of communicating, even with our codes. You know, if we're doing our scene, you know, we can be like, just give the code like, hey, 1021, and they're like, yeah, sure. And then that just means, hey, I'm going to communicate with you like through Discord or a text messaging game, and then you can say something that way, so you're not pulling someone out of a scene, but you can still get a message across as well. But that definitely happens, because even when it comes to RP, whether it's, you know, something super simple or a serious situation or a storyline, communication is going to be the best thing for that scene, and making sure that everyone's always staying on the same track and on the same page. But breaking character, just to quickly do something like that's not bad. You know, it's not like a movie and you're sitting in a movie theater and you're half hour in, and all of a sudden, you know, someone, it's super serious scene, someone to like the left of you just rips ass really hard and pulls you out of the movie. You know, it's not like that. You know, it's not just distracted thinking about the, you know, someone farting. It's not like that. You know, it's like, it's gonna be okay to break character, you know, go out of character and put it back on track.
Wow. Well, another thing Luca asked, which I thought was pretty cool, is how do each of us like develop our own characters? For me, I mean, with my experience through WoW, like I definitely go off of the class, right? Because I'm like, well, you know, I want to play this class, but like, how would a holy paladin act? You know what I mean? How would a fury warrior act? And like which race and stuff you pick in the game has to do with that too. Like, you know, their background. Like an orc is gonna act different than a night elf, right? And like,
I was an undead rogue.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Hell yeah.
Orc or troll.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much how I generally like, I'll think about like, you know, first, what was their background, like where are they coming from leading up to the moment that like I'm playing the character as, and then you know, once I have like a general background, I think about, okay, so like because of this experience they had, they're going to be like more melancholy a lot, or like because of all these experiences, they're going to be kind of more of an upbeat and uplifting character, you know, stuff like that. And then definitely like throughout gameplay, just like, you know, kind of shaping it as well. Like with like MrGhoul, for example, like if my character got their ear cut off, you know, like that experience in the game, once I've taken over, will eventually like shape experiences down the road. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, that's for me. Again, I don't have a ton of experience RPing, but like, and it's the same in D&D too, like same process. Like think about a background where they're coming from first, and then like use that to shape how they act and interact with people and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, going back to what you're talking about, like even just creating characters. I mean, if you think about it, it's even going back, like you can put that in a lot of different instances. If you just look at like comedians, you know, some of the most funniest comedians are basing like, or let me rewind even further. When I was talking about, you know, a lot of all these characters are her expressing herself and like the stuff she's been through and the experiences, whether it be positive or negative. Comedians do the same thing. Like the funniest comedians is because they're out there, you know, joking about like, you know, yeah, my mom's a crackhead. You know, it's because she's really a fucking crackhead. Like people are laughing, but like that's real shit. Like comedians maybe like look like they're having just a grand old time on stage and making everyone like just laugh, but they're like some of the most depressed people in the world because of the shit that they've been through, and they put that into their work. And there's people out there in the RP community as well that like will take those life experiences. Like there's some shit like, you know, Ollie might not talk about that I do know about, and she'll do a character and I'll know exactly what it comes from. You know, but everyone else is just like, oh man, look at how awesome, and the attitude and the character and the makeup, and oh my gosh, you're so great at what you do. And it's just like a lot of people don't see like this shit happened. That's why she's able to express it this way and put it out there. And it's a way for her to express it and even get it off her chest because, yeah, she lived it, but now she's able to express it. And then now she can move on from it as well. You know, so a lot of RP that you see comes from, you know, real life experiences. Like when you were just talking about, wow, creating the background of your character, you're not just thinking of, you know, yeah, it's a or an undead rogue or a paladin, but you're giving it some realistic experiences that you've been through in life that you think might benefit this character, and you're putting it into it. So then you get so invested into this character, like Puka was talking about, you know, when she like killed off one of her characters, like she's super upset, but at the same time it's because she put some real life shit into that, and her killing that character off is her finally probably letting go of those past
Absolutely,
experiences.
100% processing trauma and getting over it. 100%.
Yep.
Sure. Well, Puka, your own question. How do you create your characters?
My characters are all little snippets of my personality, like I said before, just amplified. So all of my characters that you see, all of my characters that I've created, they've all come from certain aspects of myself, and they might be, you know, a part of me when I was in a certain part of my life, or they might be me when I'm in a certain state. Like Garuna is me when I am happy and I am fucking drunk it off my ass. Like that is Garuna 100%. Like gives no fucks, hilarious, drinking, whatever, and that's me. That's just part of
Garuna's
my personality. So like when I created her though, it was kind of like, this is my character, and I created this backstory of her. But the reason why I was able to be her and write for her and everything like that is because that's how I act. That is how I am. That is like orc folklore is very similar to like Viking and all that other aspects, like the strongest survive.
Oh yeah.
All that kind of stuff. That is the kind of lifestyle. Like I love orcs because of that. I love it. And I love Vikings because of the same reason. So because I have such a heavy interest in that, I'm able to, and because of the lore that I know of, because of World of Warcraft and because of Skyrim and because of all the other lore, I'm able to then give her a clan, give her a backstory, give her all of this stuff and all the tools that this character needs to then develop into a solidified orc that has their own personality and their own quips, their own like little quirks and stuff like that, their own type of certain things that they do all the time, their certain reactions to certain things, what they like, what they don't like, food that they like more than other food, stuff that they do as far as like trades. She literally, like all of my characters have developed to a point where I started them with a foundation and I gave them all of their lore, all of their background to then be able to RP with other people and slowly adopt certain things by answering questions or reacting to certain things a certain way during RP and then remembering those and using them for future reference, which then, and I keep doing that and keep doing that and keep doing that. And then you have a being that is itself and is absolute in itself. And that's, you get to a point where that character is fully developed and you could literally act like that character anywhere.
Ollie?
How did I create my character?
Well,
Is that the question?
how do you create your characters? Are you still here, Ollie?
Yeah. So
Ollie's posting on Twitter.
no, posted on Twitter earlier, but
We're not
so
good
I
enough
don't.
for Ollie, guys. Sad. Pepe
I'm a little
hands?
zooted. I'm a little zooted. Okay.
Hands.
Pepe hands.
But So I don't have nearly as much experience in creating OCs, but I have
More than me.
Pazuzu and I have Murmur. Those, and like I have a couple others, like I have Audix, I have Era, but they're not very like flushed out or anything like that. But like I had kind of touched on it earlier when I was talking about Pazuzu, and Mr. said it pretty easily too. Like these characters, like they started as ways to express myself, and they still hold that for me, but they've kind of gained a sentience of their own. Like they have like this intricate background. Both Pazuzu and Murmur, their storylines actually intertwine pretty well. Pazuzu helped Murmur go through all these different changes, and then it comes down to like there are things that my characters like that me as a person I don't like, but it fits them, and like they each have their own like aesthetics and shit like that. It's weird, but yeah, they definitely started out as like parts of myself that I didn't have the confidence to. Pazuzu Algarad is your alter ego. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, and that's not the Pazuzu I'm talking about. That Pazuzu is gross.
Agreed. We actually
Disgusting human
wrote
being.
parts of story about that.
Oh yeah,
It's
no,
amazing.
I IRP'd that my Pazuzu went and found that Pazuzu in his prison cell and tortured and maimed him with plague insects. It was nice. It was sad. It was satisfying.
Because they don't deserve that title.
No, they don't. Yeah, I see that, baby. But like my Pazuzu was like I don't have a lot of confidence, and like I don't talk back. I'm not like snarky and like
Excuse you?
I wasn't.
Excuse you?
I
You
wasn't.
Thank you.
Wasn't. But like I am now, because those characters like in turn, like I created them, but in turn they helped me as well. Whereas like Murmur, I created Murmur because Murmur is my comfort character. Like when I am in a bad headspace, or I get into Murmur, and it helps me like get out of the funk because I created Murmur. Murmur is kind of like my anxiety, my depression, my insecurities and stuff like that, and Murmur is like the complete opposite of that. She's just like very bouncy and very chaotic, and like she'll spit in your fucking eyeballs because she's got acid saliva, and it's just like she's just chaos being.
That's why
And it
she's
helps
not
a lot.
allowed. That's why she's not allowed in Azrael's house, because she'll drool
yeah.
on stuff and ruin the furniture.
Yeah.
So there's one kind of like overarching thing I've noticed between all three of you guys is that, well, not mostly Ollie and Puka, right? But like a lot of the, well, so they both said a lot of like their OCs have like come a lot from like self experience, right? So like I guess what's the difference for you guys between like making an original character versus like, I guess, kind of expressing the way you're feeling, if that kind of makes sense? I know it's kind of, it's a lot more nuanced than that, but like I'm trying to think of a right way to word it. Do you know like kind of what I'm trying to say?
I'm picking up what you're throwing down. I don't think that there's any type of character or creation that you could make, or that anyone could make, without previous knowledge of what they're going through. Even if it's not personal experience, maybe they know of it from either someone else, or like they have to know of that experience, or they have to know of what they're creating for that character from something. You know, you can't make something from nothing. So even though it is our experiences, or it may not be our experiences, like nothing that Garuna has done, for example, or experienced is anything
that I went through. I never killed my entire clan because they wouldn't give me war chief. That
She's
never
lying.
happened to me.
She's lying.
That never happened with me. So it's like, but I know of, you know, the pride that orcs have, and that I turned that into Garuna's own experiences with a dash of my personality or my own thing. You can't make something and not have it have a part of you or a piece of your experience. That's just, I don't think it's possible.
So with so many, sorry, Ellie, with so many different characters too, do you guys think that like one character kind of like it'll have experiences of like your sad parts, you know, and some will have experience of like your happy parts and stuff like that, right? Do you think
your happy parts?
Wow, okay, come on.
Yeah, that got my attention.
I don't know.
Same.
You want me to suck
Gang,
your dick
gang.
or something?
Jeez.
But so because of that, do you think like sometimes your characters will blend together a little bit?
No, not mine.
Not mine.
The people who have seen my TikToks, they've seen how unique each of my characters are. Like Malixie will never ever ever have any aspects of Azrael or Garuna.
Oh God, no.
Or exactly. So they're so compartmentalized. Is that a word? Yeah. They're in their own thing that they don't, for me anyways, they don't have any kind of overlapping at all. I know that that's not the case for everyone though, however, because I know that there's a lot of people where, you know, they have so many OCs. They've got like 15 plus OCs. And it gets to the point where you watch their videos and it's the same mannerisms, it's the same personality, it's the same, so many aspects of their character and different characters are the same, that it's literally the same thing, just with different outfits or different makeup.
Okay, Ollie, I promise I won't interrupt you this time.
I was just gonna touch off of the whole situations that like we've been in. Like it can take like inspiration, I guess, but then there are also different situations that like, you know, there's a scene that I wrote with Puka between Pazuzu and Azrael where Pazuzu or Azrael had captured a bunch of nuns.
Oh, I love this. I love that scene so much.
And Azrael wanted to draw a bath for Pazuzu. So Pazuzu and Azrael actually
Bloodbath.
took turns, like, kind of like serenading and romancing each other by like how fucking grotesquely they could bleed these nuns dry into the tub.
It was so romantic.
It was. For those two characters,
So romantic.
that's romance. And like
The sexual tension between these two is outrageous, by the way.
I was feeling the
And then
same
you got
thing
the-
about
and-
you, Sean.
And then you got the sexual tension between their characters too.
but like that scene in particular, and like we've also written like other scenes, and we just like know like Pazuzu and Azrael, like they're inseparable. And there's actually been, to touch back on like bad, like not so much bad experiences, but like how Puka was talking about Victor, like there's a scene that we were going to write, and I hope to still write one day, where it involves Zuzu getting like bodily, like almost dying to like, or even like to the point of like death, that like Azrael would like
Lose
kind of
his
break down.
ever-loving fucking brains, dude.
Yeah, because like if you want to talk about like soulmates, it's Pazuzu and Azrael. Like they
Mhm.
Through and
like
through.
I remember that there was a scene where Pazuzu had gotten like the tiniest of little scratches on his cheek, and Azrael like flipped a fucking lid, which is not like Azrael, but in
He's very
terms of
calm
like
and
protect.
collected.
Yeah,
You want to know how hardcore the relationship is between Pazuzu and Azrael?
How hard is it?
And at one point, I questioned my relationship with Ollie. I did not think it was going to work out because of this relationship between Zuzu and Azrael. I would go to work depressed as fuck. Like, why did she fucking talk to me like that? Why did she give me that kind of attention? What do I gotta do? Do I gotta go fucking make someone to intervene with this shit? This is bullshit. Oh, you did dripping on blood on me.
Yeah, they're
Oh my god. But their relationship got so hardcore, like when they were in this public server doing the story. Oh my god, people are just like, come on, like continue doing it. Like they were waiting
like,
for them to
in the
write
mouth.
their part and just go. Oh my god, just drooling. Shit got wild though.
It did.
Yeah, you want to talk about elegant? Whoo.
Yeah, I do. For a while, I had a lot of people ask me to put like a role playing like little channel in my Discord, and then like it was used for a little bit, and then everyone just kind of stopped using it. like it was like real hot for like a week or so, and then everyone just kind of got bored of it. I think it's because like a lot of us like just weren't too experienced in role play, so we didn't really know like what avenues to take it and stuff like that. But
Like, I'm kind of bougie with my writing, I'll be honest. If
wow,
like
okay.
Discord has a character limit, right?
Mhm.
If you don't break character limit with me when you're writing with me, I don't want it.
Facts. You want to talk about like one thing I did in retail, it's like people were like, oh, you're making me look bad. I was like, no, you're making yourself look bad. Like, that's my job. Like, the way I'm going to move up is I want to make you look like shit just because I'm going to do such an awesome job. When these two were in this server community, like doing this RP with these novels that they're fucking typing, everyone's coming, has their own interactions going on somewhere in the world, and it's just like these 2-sentence little things. I'm like, that shit's boring. I don't care about their story.
Yeah.
I want to read this novel, and I hate reading. I want to see what you guys are doing.
Some J.R.R. Tolkien shit.
Right, but like at the same time, they were also unconsciously making everyone else better writers as well, because people are seeing how they do it and they're like, oh, let me try and put that into mine. Because I don't have any type of like typing out RP experience, but then when I finally had gotten into it, like I was like, okay, I want mine to mimic theirs. I don't want these 2-sentence ones. I want to try and get longer story like sections put in there.
Yeah.
So then that's what I tried to do too.
And in that particular server that we're talking about, there were people that wanted to interact with our characters, but it ended up just being Pazuzu and Azrael. Because like the other people that were trying to write with us, we couldn't compete. They couldn't compete with us, which sounds fucking pompous as fuck. But it's like when we sit there, like there have been times that Puka and I have written to each other where we break character limit like 2 or 3 times over because we're writing so much. And then somebody comes back with like a tiny little paragraph, and I'm like,
Nah,
why you gotta make my job of replying that much harder?
Yeah.
They in the major leagues.
And it was like a lot of the RP that Valder or not Valder. I was fucking reading chat and I was like read his name. A lot of the RP that me and Waifu did, it was if Waifu, like if Pazuzu and Azrael weren't out, you know, being assassins, doing their thing, they were in the castle in the bar. And I can't tell you how many times I broke character limit over 3 times making 1 beverage with Azrael.
The amount of detail that we put into our characters is just showing our love and like respect and honor for those characters, because like we love them just as much as like everybody else, and like they're our pride and joy. Like they're our creations, they're our art. And like another good person's writing, what Val said, is Drop. Drop is an amazing writer, and
Yes.
a character in particular that I like writing for is Murmur. Like I love writing Pazuzu, but like I'm very picky about who I write Pazuzu with. Whereas like Murmur, if you want somebody to write combat writing with, you tell me you want to write with Murmur, because Murmur will fucking wreck your shit.
And like Azrael, a lot of the time when people would try to write with Azrael is a pompous asshole.
He doesn't give a lot of other characters the time of day because he sees himself as above them all. He sees them as beneath him. So he won't even pay attention to them most of the time. So I find that if, you know, other characters approach him the wrong way, which is 99.99% of the time, he'll just literally pick up his glass and turn his back to them and just ignore them because he doesn't care. And that's not me. That's him being like, gross, you are trying to talk to me. Do you know who I am? Get out of here.
What do you mean? That sounds just like you.
Listen.
Sometimes.
It's even cool just like even like when she was talking about like, you know, if we're not out doing this, we're in the bar. I'm like, my character joined that world and was in like that same building, and my character never interacted with theirs. Not once, but interacted with someone that has interacted with them. So it's just cool how like stuff can tie together but yet be so far away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is a cool thing about RP. Like you just don't know which way it's going to go.
So we have about 30 minutes left, and we still have kind of a lot to talk about. How are you guys about going over a little bit? What are your thoughts?
I think we'll see it when we get there.
I'm gonna be eating. I'm just letting you know. I just ordered McDonald's.
Oh, dude, I've been eating Taco Bell this whole time. Like I woke up like 30 minutes before.
I'm drinking one of my 5 favorite food groups, which is booze. So.
Oh yeah, I was gonna make a drink.
So as far as I don't think we'll go too far over either. By the way,
I figured we would, especially when it came to us talking about our characters, because Puka and I, we can sit here and just go blah 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 about our characters because we love them so much.
Yeah, anything to pad their ego. Yeah.
So I'll link it in chat too.
Leave our Leos alone.
A lot of the questions I'm about to ask come from the Google form that we have. So if you've enjoyed the podcast so far, definitely consider giving us some questions, asking us some shit, getting to know us a little bit more.
Number 4.
So before we get into that, there's definitely some roleplay questions in these that we've gotten. So that's another reason I thought this would be such a good topic, is that the questions keep coming up so much.
Sure.
But do you guys have any like last thoughts on like what we've talked about so far?
No, I think we covered a whole lot of the bases, especially kind of bridging the gaps between topics as well.
Yeah. I don't really have anything to add, honestly.
For sure. So
if I try to add any more, I'm just gonna keep rambling about my characters. So
you got it, Cordelia. Well. I mix my drinks 90-20 or 90-10. So.
Oh my god.
This is pretty much a shot.
Yeah, it's 90% one type of alcohol, 10% the other type of alcohol.
What the fuck?
Listen, no, I make my drinks pretty strong.
Well, Ollie fucking left. Puka, since I just did my number 1, my chills thing. A question that came up for you. Can you do any impressions?
No, I can do a Canadian accent, which is just me getting more wasted, and then I just get more of my accent.
Puka said, "I can speak."
Yeah, I can talk. I can't do any impressions whatsoever. I'll just embarrass myself. It literally is just my regular accent. Here's the thing: I mask my accent most of the time because I hang out with Americans, so I need to assimilate and just kind of be, I don't know, just be empathetic towards what they can understand. So I talk like an American when I'm around them.
Can you
empathetic bullshit? You do it so we don't make fun of the way you talk. That's the reason why you do it.
It's true. He's right.
Can you give us
you lying sex shit?
Can you give us your best number 15 Burger King foot lettuce?
It's gonna sound so Canadian. I'm gonna hear it. I'm hearing my head. Number 15 there, bud.
Yeah, number 15 Burger King foot lettuce, bud. That's the last thing you'd want.
Puka going full Canadian is like singing unicorn.
I mean, I don't even know what you're talking about here, bud. You want to talk about RP? We can get into it, bud.
Shut the fuck up, Shorzy. Number
Give your balls a
15.
tug, tit fucker.
Wow. Yeah, there you go for impressions. Give us your most hardcore Canadian impression that you can.
My most hardcore Canadian impression?
The deep lore.
Fuck, boys. Get your fucking toques ready. We're going on the sled. We're gonna go get some Tims. Get us a double. Get your bunny hug. We're fucking on the way, boys. Fuck yeah, bud.
Wow.
I'm kind of disappointed.
Yeah.
I was expecting a little more. Fuck yeah, bud. Fuck yeah, there, bud.
Oh, fuck yeah, bud.
Oh, fuck yeah, there, bud.
What about you, old Mr. G? I know you're a fan of
He
the
does.
old Bill
He
Clinton.
does. Yeah. I was
My Bill
just
Clinton
gonna
said
say,
so bad.
fucking do it though.
It's
so
bad.
good. This
No,
thing.
it's not.
Please.
It's so bad.
Wait,
It's
hold on.
not good.
Hold on 1 second.
It's not.
Can you do it again?
Listen,
No.
Val.
No, God, no. I'm watching this shit. You better fucking put that back down.
Do the PP spit one.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to, like, you gotta get into it because, like, it's hard to, like,
It's
Well,
not
here, while you-
Best
PP.
Southern accent. Maybe after.
yeah,
Maybe
you gotta
after
forget the
Mr's
accent.
done.
Yeah, that's a lot of things.
You
So
got-
like,
Get me as a
Fuck yeah, there, bud.
Riley and Jonesy hockey talk. Oh my fucking god.
if you've been in one fight, you might not be so keen to get in another. I love Wayne, dude. Wayne's my favorite fucking character.
I fucking love Wayne.
I can do Meatball from Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Best Southern
ahead.
accent. Okay, let me try a Southern accent.
Does everyone know who Meatball is from Aqua Teen Hunger Force?
I mean, they should. If they don't, we should ban them.
Meatball was
Yes.
the only reason I watched that show.
Meatball was good. I can't do. I wish I could do Master
Bless,
Shake and Friday.
bless your heart.
Because you have Carl, which is fun too. That was his name, right? Carl.
I
Is
don't
it
even
Carl?
know what to
Why does
say
Carl
in a
sound wrong?
Southern accent.
I thought we were going over to Jeffy's house. I want to go to Jeffy's house. Hey, can I get the poo? I want to get the poo.
When you
I
said
want to get the poo.
when you said Carl, I was thinking of Carl Weezer from
No.
So was I.
Where's the robot with all the blood?
Llama-palooza. Oh.
It's Meatwad.
Jimmy's
It's
man.
Meatwad.
Jimmy's man.
Oh, did I say Meatball? I meant Meatwad. Yeah, what the fuck am I talking
Meatwad.
about? Meatball? Meatwad.
You're thinking about
Ollie.
Meatball.
Ollie. Any impersonations?
Tiny Tina. Do it.
That's also just Ollie talking.
Right?
I can see the anxiety building up in her face right now.
Yeah.
Same.
I'm gonna get this tattooed across my back in old English font. I don't even
Literally.
need. I don't need to change
yeah.
my voice.
No.
I can.
Squidward's hard.
Squidward is not really.
I'm Squidward.
I could literally see. I can read things in a Canadian accent, but coming up with it.
SpongeBob. I can.
Flames on my pool, so it looks like it's tearing ass around the backyard, but it's standing still.
Dude, I used to be able to do a really good Vegeta,
Wow.
but I can't.
fucking
I can't
love
quite do
Vegeta.
I can try, but it's gonna be bad. Spend
Jonathan.
most of your life ruled by another. Watch your race dwindle to a handful, and then tell me what has more meaning than your own strength.
Ow.
I feel like I was in a
This
wild
movie.
video game right now.
I know.
It used to be good.
I just got like a half chub.
Wow,
Yeah, no big
so
deal.
cool.
I know.
Fuck yeah, bud.
You signed
Are you
birthday
ready
cards with
to
Taylor
witness the
Swift
power
lyrics.
of a god?
I am ready. Behold.
It's fun doing those like movie voices.
I always
Oh,
have
yeah,
half
dude.
chub. Fucking facts.
Oh yeah, I've always wanted to be a voice actor. dude.
Ladies and gentlemen.
You're softer than a cup of baby carrots.
Oh.
signed-
So Teeny had a question in chat. When writing RP, do you guys ever get stuck with a writer's block? If so, how do you move past it?
I don't.
Pass. I don't have experience with it.
I
I
don't,
don't
but I know
get
Ollie
writer's
does.
block. I could write
Yeah.
all day, every day.
Ollie will talk about it. She'll be like, I don't know how to respond to this. I'm like, it'll come. Don't force it. Like, that's the whole thing. When it comes to writing RP, never force your RP. And I like, there's different types of force RP, but like, don't write something just because you feel pressured to progress a story. You
Yeah.
have to write it when the timing's right. You know, there's been times where, you know, Ollie and Puka will be going just back and forth, just like getting their stuff out there, and all of a sudden it just stops. And that's because the block comes in, but because you don't want to put out something that you don't feel confident in with inside the content. I know I'm probably speaking for Ollie and them, but that's just what I've noticed in terms of, because I don't have actually any experience with that.
I think my biggest setback when it comes to that is like I have things that I want to write, but I get into my own head, and that's like my biggest downfall is like I'm my own worst enemy. Like I want to write these things and like I can't, like I know how I want to write it, but it's like getting it from here to here, like on the key, like typing it out and stuff like that without my insecurities getting to me, you know?
Teeny also
Facts.
asked if we ever receive pressure from fans to continue the storyline. I mean, me personally, I just have so many fucking fans that like I feel the pressure just constantly, dude. Like, you know, like I'll look over and there'll be like 50,000 people watching, and I'll be like, I don't know if I want to continue this story or not.
Crowley.
But I do it for them, you know. No, but what about you guys?
I've never felt pressure from them. I've felt excitement from them, but I don't feel pressure. I don't really get like, I don't know. I don't really get feelings of pressure from other people to do anything because nobody can really tell me what to do. So someone can tell me what to do or like be like, hey, you should do this. And I'll be like, suck my whole fucking butthole because I don't care. But I do things because I like
she
doing
uses
it.
her big dick
That's
energy
about
to
it.
get through her block.
Yeah. No, I just do stuff because I like doing it, and if other people enjoy it when I do it, that's great.
Ollie,
But-
you don't literally have to take your glasses off.
No, my eye, it's just.
Oh.
But like, yeah.
You getting a Happy Meal?
No.
Oh.
No, I don't feel pressure from anyone to do really anything, to be honest.
So,
It's not so much pressure. Again, it comes back to me being in my own head because like Puka, Drop, and I were actually writing a story that I want to bring back up. Like I want to continue writing it and stuff. Oh, you're giving it to me. Fuck yeah, dude.
French.
You wanna
Maybe. But I stopped. I felt very insecure writing that story because we had a bunch of people like in this whole server like watching and reading the story as it progressed, and my fucked up need for like some form of validation from my writing was getting to me, so I stopped wanting to write altogether because Puka would so we would take turns. It would go drop Puka me, drop Puka me, and Drop would write something and like people would rant and rave about it in the chat where like the readers were allowed to talk, and then the same thing would happen for Puka and stuff, and then I would write something and then it would just be dead fucking quiet. And
Yeah.
You
like
thought, but that wasn't true.
but I watched the Gen chat. What are you
Okay.
talking about?
No, that's not true. It would
Nobody
be
would-
it would be different tiers. Like sometimes it would depend on the arc. So like some arcs would have a lot of people ranting and raving, and other things like all of my writing wouldn't get the same amount of attention. Like some things that I would write dead quiet. Other things that I would write because it was an arc or something interesting would happen, it would be ranting and raving.
I know there was tons of people that loved your writing. And although they would be quiet at some points, they would eat that shit up and wait for you to post. They would message me and be like, hey, is Ollie gonna post today? When is Ollie gonna post? Are they gonna post again soon? But let me tell you, everyone loved your writing, including myself.
That comes down to like my own head though, because I didn't see it. I was like, so they only like drop and they only like Puka, so it just like completely killed my buzz to ride.
Well, so
I loved it too, yeah.
To also, I think Chris also has something to say, like what to do about writer's block.
I don't know, man. Like dig deep into your brain.
So there's advice from Chris.
If you want to get through your RP block, just don't be blocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, just don't. Just stop.
Just stop being dumb.
Just stop being blocked.
Branching away from RP for a little bit. Ollie, there's a question. Ollie, why do you look so fucking angry?
Because of MrGhoul.
Yeah.
Oh.
They're mean mugging Mr. Val, just fucking
but so since Mr. G is here, one question that keeps coming up for you, Ollie. When and how did you and MrGhoul meet?
So we met, actually, our 11-year anniversary was on the 23rd. Like 2 days. 2 days ago, it was our 11-year mark together. Like when MrGhoul actually asked me out to be his not one night stand.
On a letter that I made her read next to me.
But
can we get hearts for this touching love story?
I'll let you tell the sweet story, and I'll tell the real story. You tell the sweet version of it, I guess.
What's?
He wants you to lie to chat to make him look good.
We met online. No. We met on a website that is no longer around called Stickam.
Where?
Stickam.
Oh,
it was like MySpace but with webcams.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, he drove 45 minutes to come pick me up from my then boyfriend's house.
Wow, MrGhoul.
To drive me back across the valley.
You know what's up.
Yeah,
you know what time it is.
And fuck around.
Yeah, buddy.
And I know this sounds shitty. Because like he picked me up from my boyfriend's house, but lo and behold, that boyfriend was a piece of shit. And yeah, we're not going to get into that because we don't need to know the nitty gritty. Just know that he was a piece of shit. Yeah. We met online. And then he got me to break up with said boyfriend, move back home.
Ooh.
Start to rebuild the relationship with my mom, kind of. And yeah.
Yeah, I won't get into hardcore details, but yeah,
no.
Like
Mr. did a world of
I
good.
just cut off my mohawk, and I just typed in my zip code. People within there, so I saw her. I'm like, oh, she looks fine. So I popped in there.
Fine, dude.
I popped in there with this fuzzy pimp hat, which I think we still have somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then was just talking for a little bit, and then I was always at my guitar player's house, and then she would come over and hang out a few times. She didn't really have a relationship with her mom, but I got her to break up with her boyfriend, move back in with her mom. And then we hung out more and kind of went through that, and that's how it went. But yeah.
Yeah, when I saw waifu on TikTok, I said the same thing. I was like, fine.
Fine. Yeah, original plan for both MrGhoul and I was like, I'm gonna fuck that and then leave it alone.
Yep.
But here we are.
So yep, we just wanted to hook up and then that'd be it. But then that didn't. I mean, it happened, but it didn't end there.
The first
Couldn't
time
hit it and quit it.
The first time you guys met, did Ollie say,
I don't know, you want me to suck your dick or something?
I love that so much.
No.
But
no, like I remember the first time like really that Ollie and Puka met and Puka's TikTok.
Listen, that's embarrassing.
Because what you would do on Puka's TikTok, what you could do is if you not anymore, I'm the only one who can do it now. If you donated a concert, you could pick a song and she'll lip sync dance to it. So she was dressed as Victor, and I was like, put on some fucking NSYNC and rock that shit, and she did.
Absolutely, 100%. I don't back down.
And then I remember they were talking, and like Puka was talking to somebody else in the chat and be like, oh, that's my wifey or whatever. And then Ollie's like,
I had a lot of wifeys.
I want to be your wifey. And then she's like, well, I mean, you're going to have to try or work for it or whatever. And then Ollie just looks at me. She's like, challenge accepted.
And then it was a formal proposal on TikTok as well, which I still have the video saved on my phone from my first account of Ollie proposing that we be TikTok married, and now look at us.
Wow. Whenever you guys,
yeah, and then that made me go around and propose to Toby's character, Lilith or whatever.
whenever,
I actually dressed up. I dressed up as Azrael when your account got banned.
I still have that photo as well, because that was the background for my phone, my lock screen for months. That was the lock screen for months and months and months.
Whenever you guys talk about Puka being dressed up as Victor, I can only think about the one that's 100% not a child in any way.
What are you talking about?
The new DVD killer.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a child at all.
Listen.
Oh no, hers was like some like Italian goatee, ponytail, like pulled back mafia motherfucker.
He was part of the Hells Mafia, so he was 100% a mafia member.
One question that's come up for me, what was your first experience playing WoW and what made you like it so much? For those of you guys that don't know, I'm fucking huge into WoW. I actually have a Frostmourne tattooed on my leg. But like, yeah, I know. But I don't know. So my first experience, very, very first, was at a family Christmas. Our older cousins were playing it, and they let me and my brother play. Wow.
Victor.
Okay.
I love Victor.
Hell yeah. But I forgot what I was saying.
You're really into WoW.
Wow.
You have a tattoo on your leg.
Our cousins let us play, and then like we like just for like right away, it was just like, wow, this is fucking awesome, dude. And so yeah, I mean, like just from there, we ended up sharing our own account, and then when he's a year older than me, and when he graduated, we got separate accounts, and then I don't know, it's just always been a way to just kind of escape, just like grind out some shit and just chill out. I mean, that's been my experience with it.
WoW's fun. I haven't played WoW in a long time.
My experience with WoW was when I was depressed and needed something to do, I was like, well, let's try this thing that the nerds have been trying. Because I was already into LARP, so I was like,
yeah,
fuck it. So I downloaded, that was during Wrath of the Lich King. And that was just before Mists of Pandaria came out. And that was when I joined. Yeah. That was just before I joined.
Yeah,
and,
I think I started like a month or two before BC came out.
Yeah. And I played it for months and months and months. And then I just, again, Toxic X, made me feel shitty about playing, so I stopped playing.
That's dumb. That was you brought up role playing again though, and that was a very good segue, Puka, so thank you.
You're welcome. Good at it.
A question that showed up for all of us. What advice do you have for someone who criticizes themselves about the idea to cosplay? So like someone who like they want to get into cosplay and role play and stuff like that, but like they're being critical of themselves and they're just afraid to do it because of like we talked about earlier, the preconceptions of it and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are critical of themselves because either one, they don't feel like they have the skill to do it, which everyone starts somewhere. My first cosplays, I thought that they were bomb as fuck. They were absolute fucking garbage. And like compared to what I have now and what I can do now, I would look at that and I would be like, oh my god. But everyone starts somewhere. And if you are surrounding yourself with people who are shitting on you for wanting to try it, elevate your company. That's what one of my besties, Nightmare,
always says is elevate your company, be around people that'll uplift you no matter what your interests are. That's one of them. If you find that your friends are shitting on you for the interests that you have and what you want to get into, they're fucking idiots, and you need to reevaluate your friendships. So get with people who have like interests, or try to find a community that has those kinds of people in it that will uplift you and teach you and get you into something that you really want to try. And stop giving a fuck about what other people think. Everyone has their own opinions on literally everything. No matter what, you will have people that'll hate everything. You'll like something, there'll be 10 people that hate it. So it doesn't fucking matter. Whatever you do in life, you will always find people that hate it. So why the fuck, like, why even bother like tolerating or giving a fuck about opinions of somebody that's so negative? Don't.
Nodders.
If you have haters, you're doing something right.
Exactly.
That's something that MrGhoul's been telling me since I started Twitch, since I started TikTok, is basically fuck them kids, dude.
Man, fuck them
Fuck
kids,
them kids.
bro. Look around. Look at
You
life.
do you. You're gonna find people are always gonna come across your shit that, you know, are gonna shit talk you or call you a freak, call you all sorts of other gamer words. Just, it's taken me a long time, and I still kind of deal with it every now and again because my head is fucking stupid. But
Mr's a smart man.
like Mr. said, if you have haters, you're doing something right, and just fucking do you. Like, not everybody, like, I know this is kind of mind-boggling to a lot of people in the chat right now, but not everybody likes Pazuzu. Not everybody likes Azriel. Like, a lot of people didn't like my fucking Coco cosplay. Like, I don't give a fuck. I loved my Coco cosplay. I worked hard. That's one of my favorite characters, and I worked really hard to get that cosplay together.
Absolutely.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you're less doing it for the people watching. You're more doing it for you, but you're just sharing it with those people.
Yeah, and it's you know, if it makes you feel good and you're not hurting anyone, who gives a fuck? Like, if you go I started off with Halloween makeup. You start somewhere. Everyone starts somewhere. Just get base materials and start fucking around. Go on YouTube. Look on Google. Look on Pinterest. Find some inspiration from other people. Try to recreate certain looks that other people do to build your skills in this area. I was absolute fucking garbage at makeup. I didn't do makeup until, like, shut the fuck up. I didn't do makeup till like 3 years ago. And look at the progression I've made from like my first TikToks to now.
So, I mean, me personally, like, cosplay is something like I've always been interested in doing, but like, I don't think I'm at a level of comfortability with my own self physically to like get into that yet. But it's always something that's been like super interesting. So I don't know. I mean, I have advice to give, but I can't follow my own advice. So like,
Same
A lot
though.
of people do that.
but I would
A
say
lot of-
just fucking do it, dude. Like, who gives a fuck? You know,
Yeah.
like, people are going to be pissed off about it. People are going to give you shit for it. And there's going to be those people that are going to be like, holy shit, you did this. Good job, dude.
And
Like,
here's
Just to talk about that real quick. Yes, just do it, but remember, don't force it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also like be prepared, dude. Cause like, no matter what you do, like, you could be like the most like perfectly God crafted, beautiful human in the world. Right. And there's still going to be someone out there who's just going to be like, you're an ugly piece of shit. Fuck you, dude. And like,
exactly like Keanu
people just do
Reeves.
that.
There's people out there that don't like Keanu Reeves. Could you imagine not liking Keanu Reeves?
yeah,
And he's literally such a good person and a
some
good actor.
people are
But there's
just,
people that don't like him.
some people are just predestined to go to hell. But
Exactly. and another thing is, like, no matter what, no matter where you are in life, you can always better yourself. Like, you can idolize someone and put them at the top fucking pillar. That person, no one's perfect. You're not perfect as you are. Nobody is. You can always make yourself better, no matter what you're doing. You can always make yourself better. So wherever you are, it doesn't matter where you are, as long as you're progressing, then that's good. So like
Mhm.
you can see someone who might be better off in life and you might be the same age, but that doesn't matter because you can get to that point. It just takes you a little longer and that's okay. So just better yourself, just continuously better yourself.
Yeah. Mr. Sean, what kind of Mr. Sean, Mr. Ghoul?
Mr.
What
Sean.
goddamn, Mr.
The
Sean, sir. Very, very humbled that you would greet us with your presence, Mr. Sir. What
Hashtag words are hard.
what advice, brother? Question. I can't. Yeah, it's yep.
What?
Same.
I don't know.
What's your-
Something funny,
what's-
dude.
How many clips do you have of him?
In theory, yeah, you're right.
I think that's it. I have this one too.
Well, I'm glad Tilt could join us today.
Oh, yeah.
That's so awful, and I love
You
it.
got to get so many. You should just get so many Tilt clips that you can do the podcast with just Q and
Oh,
the buttons of Tilt.
Just
And
asking
just go.
questions.
I have
That's
one of
like,
Josh.
what do you think
dude.
about this?
Especially if Tilt doesn't, like, if we ask Tilt to be on Cantaurpio one day and he doesn't show up, we should just have clips of him answering the question
see,
anyways. And
So
just a
I
picture.
only got the idea to do it from Tilt because he did it to Josh so much to Swind, and I got one of Swind last night, which is
Just chilling, eating this Alfredo, dude.
but like Chris was fun. Chris is the master at
That's
it.
the best one right there. Just
So
chill and eat this Alfredo,
no,
dude.
dude. Chris has so much better one. Like he has ones of Josh going like, I don't know, dude. Like just that little thing is perfect. And there's one where Josh is like, bro, I'm just eating this bacon and eggs, dude. Like, it's just so perfect. So I definitely stole that from Chris, that idea. But
that's awesome.
this is an
Stolen
expensive piece of hardware. So I mean, I got to get my content somewhere. You know what I mean? All right, basically,
Stolen
same question.
content.
Advice for people. Chris, go.
Advice for people that criticize your shit.
Yeah.
So like scenario, someone wants to get into role playing / cosplaying. They're criticizing themselves like, yo, I can't do it because I'm a big dumb doo-doo head. What advice?
Don't be a big dumb doo-doo head.
It's easy.
You
Just
heard it
that
here
simple.
first.
It's really
Just do
easy.
it.
Just don't do that. Don't be dumb. No.
Can you say that again?
Like, just what? Don't be dumb. Just don't be dumb.
Just stop having
What? Don't be
shingles.
dumb. Just what? Don't be dumb. The best way to not have shingles is just to not have it.
Just stop having shingles forehead.
Just stop having shingles. Do you want your forehead to stop itching? Stop itching it. For your health.
For your health.
Does your milk taste sour when you take a sip of it? Check the expiration date, dummy. Check the expiration date, dummy. Check the expiration date, dummy. Just what? Don't be dumb.
Oh, God.
But anyway, answer the goddamn question.
Yes, a serious answer. It just goes back to don't force it. You know, just it'll come to you when you're creating it. You know, you're gonna have people out there that are gonna give you shitty criticism, but it's also you have to be able to decipher between someone trying to shit on your parade or actually give you constructive criticism. Because there's been times where I've given.
I
Go
read
on.
those lips, bro.
When I say that. Okay, I don't give a
That
shit.
glare,
You're a
bro.
dentist. I'm gonna beat your ass. You know, it happens with Ollie too. You know, like she'll be doing something, and I'll tell her what she needs to hear, not what she wants to hear. And there's a big difference between that. And I'll give her constructive criticism, but then it's up to her whether she wants to take it as constructive criticism or as attacking. But there are people out there that are just going to try and shit on you. You'll be like, oh, you suck. Why are you doing this? Blah, blah, blah. Because that's just what they do. They're trolls and they try and get a rise out of you from that. But there's also people out there that truly want to see you succeed in doing something like that. And they will give you constructive criticism like, hey, well, why don't you try this? Or why don't you do the makeup on this side? Or why don't you add like this bandana? Or whatever it is. I would just say don't let shitty people get you down. I mean, that's with anything you do in life, whether it's cosplay or anything else. Just people are gonna be shitty. Don't let them be shitty.
Just don't be a piece of shit.
If you want to be good, just don't be bad. Just don't be dumb. Just don't be dumb. Check the expiration date, dummy.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Check the expiration date, dummy.
Oh my God. Well, now it's just me and you, Sean. Sean.
Yeah, what's up, dog?
Let me ask you, as the special guest star.
Yeah, what's up?
Do you have any questions for me, dude?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to pee, and I was like, I feel a sneeze coming on, and if I sneeze right now, I'm gonna piss myself.
I mean, no one really asked that question for you.
Well, I wanted to give
the insight.
I wanted to give chat an explanation on my absence.
Question for you. Let's see here. I know I want to make it a good one. I want to make it a good one.
A good one.
But
Can I please get a clip of that?
wait,
It's pee shit,
Hold
not
on.
pee spit.
It's
And you gotta
spit.
know it.
all right, I could do it. If you want to make it bigger, then I got the question.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I got to turn push to talk off. All right, are you ready for the question?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna want to zoom in on this.
Oh yeah.
Question is, would you fuck me? I'd fuck me. I'd fuck me hard.
I don't know. You want me to suck your dick or something?
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah, bud.
Oh, fuck
Oh
yeah,
my
bud.
God.
Fuck yeah, bud.
Yeah, absolutely. 10 out of 10 would hit it again.
It's not pee
so-
spit, it's pee shit.
It's pee shit.
It's pee shit, bud.
Oh,
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah, bud. So another question that has appeared. Let me ask this. So Ollie Puka or like either of you guys, do you have questions for anyone else in the group that you just like you don't know the answer to?
I can't think of any.
I got a question for
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Jonathan here.
Okay.
How have the people that you have met through social media, whether it be Twitch or whatever, helped evolve you as a person?
Oh, it's been fucking insane. So not only through like Chris and Ollie themselves, but a lot of people I've been meeting like through Chris and stuff. Like I met Edgar a long time ago through Chris, but like JJ as well, and there's so many other people. Like I think just really humbled, in all honesty, because like when I first started streaming, I used to be like, you know, like, wow, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna do all this and this. I'm gonna be able to like do this kind of stuff, and like it just kind of like made me just take a step back and realize like, yo, like I don't even want to do this whole thing like for me. Like I just want to do it like for other people, you know, like just provide a space, like less more about like what kind of content can I make, like all this crazy shit, like just kind of more like, you know, what experiences can I have with people? Like, can I help people laugh when they're, you know, going through some tough shit? Can I, people keep saying I have like a soothing voice or whatever. It's kind of weird, but can I like,
I mean, they right though.
can I number 4? Can I help some, that was like chills having an orgasm. But like, can I
got a little Valley Girl on that one?
Can I you know, can I like help people fall asleep who have trouble sleeping, or like stuff like that? And so like I guess it's really like, and it's also shown me that like I'm not as much of a piece of shit as I think I am, you know, because like so many people come and they, you know, say nice stuff and all these things, but like like I don't know. I beat myself up a lot, but like through Twitch, I've found like, you know, like places to like vibe with people, talk to people about stuff, and like kind of build a space where like people can just come and just fucking chill out. You know, that's a really good question.
That's a good answer.
Another question we got for all of us is probably going to be more oriented towards Puka and Ollie. But role playing / cosplaying on a budget.
Ah, yes, the closet cosplay.
Drugstore makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah, drugstore makeup. Work with what
Halloween
you got.
makeup. If you have a budget, you can use the stuff that you already have in your possession. A lot of people on TikTok do what's called closet cosplays, where they just grab what they can. There's actually a guy who's pretty famous on I don't know if it's Instagram or Pinterest, but he literally makes cosplays out of everyday things that you find in the house. So he made a Goku cosplay once, and he used tape and yellow dish gloves, and he taped the yellow dish gloves to the top of his head to make Goku Super Saiyan hair.
Wow.
And then he also, the clothes that he was wearing, he just used like tape, and he just posed, and he took that picture and put it next to the picture that he was replicating. And he's actually quite famous because of that shit. People in the cosplay community, at least people that are really in depth in the cosplay community, they don't or shouldn't gatekeep people because of their financial situation when it comes to cosplay. Cosplay is for every race, every gender, every sex, every sexuality, every kind of person across the board. It is an all-encompassing type of community where no matter what, you are welcome. And you can, cosplay is something that it is whatever you want to make of it. So you can do cross cosplays. There's lots of people that do, you know, cross play, and they do like gender bends, and they do a mashup of different characters. There's so many Deadpool / other characters out there that people cosplay that are absolutely amazing. So whether you use what's in your closet, whether you buy your cosplay, whether you make your cosplay, whether you commission your cosplay, it doesn't matter as long as you are having fun while you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this comes back to like, don't be hard on yourself when you're just starting out. Like, I know I give this advice and I'm really bad at taking my own fucking advice, but you know, the black stuff, like the black neck paint, like I didn't have paint when I first started. I used liquid lipstick. Like that shit is a pain in the ass to get off. But I wanted that, and I had something that I could use. Like, I would I recommend using that? No. But use what you have. Like, just to start off, and it kind of, this is kind of something that kind of coordinates with a lot of aspects of life. Like for streaming, for instance, a lot of people always say like, oh, like you have all this like tech and gear and like a really expensive PC. And I'm like, I didn't start that way. I started with a PlayStation.
Yep.
No camera.
I was there.
No mic.
Can confirm.
Or no camera. And I had a headphone, like a headset mic. And I found that it was something that I loved and I genuinely enjoyed and wanted to give back to the people.
She bugged the shit out of me to go to GameStop to get a camera, and I didn't want to go to spend the $15 on a fucking potato camera for PlayStation. And now look where we are.
And it's kind of the same thing with cosplay makeup. Like you have to like use the makeup that you have, or like start with like smaller, like cheaper brands like you find in Walgreens and Walmart and stuff like that. Like Wet n Wild, NYX, Morphe.
Or just steal it from your spouse.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another one that I would recommend is Tag Body Art. I bought my first palette of Tag Body Art, which was all different colors, years ago, over a decade ago, but was when I bought my first Tag palette, and it lasted me up until 2 years ago with different cosplays that I was doing. A little goes a long way, and it was definitely worth the investment for me, especially if you want to do
non-human type of cosplays. If you want to paint your body green, that's definitely the paint to use instead of you trying to put eyeshadow all over your arm or something like that. It's a small
God.
investment. It's like $60-something.
$30
little-
US dollars.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
30
like,
US dollars.
Even the characters that I made, like I used that one body paint thing with the brush and eyeliner, and that was it. Everything else I had, whether it was clothes, like that's just shit I had. Like I just had my normal vest and a black button-up shirt and a black tie, and then I just used the black paint shit on my neck. And just the design, it was, I wanted to do something, so I literally sat in front of the mirror and just started drawing. Like I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just did it something until it worked, and that was it. I just used 2 things. Super cheap.
Absolutely. And original characters will also give you an opportunity to wear things in your closet that you might not feel comfortable wearing outside because it's something that you bought because you really love that certain thing, like a dress that you might not wear, or a certain like cool button up or whatever. You will have the opportunity to wear it if you have an OC. So you can design a character around this piece of clothing that you fucking love, but you might not feel the most confident in the outside world. So you can create a character based around that article of clothing, or add articles of clothing to a character that you made that's just in your closet.
Of course yours is big.
Of course it's huge.
So, question. Wow, look at the chode, by the way. So
65-inch diameter, bro.
Yeah,
Damn.
I mean,
fuck.
I'll take the
Oh,
time.
wow.
Fuck, dude.
So
33.
question for everyone. All of you.
Yeah,
What are you doing for Thanksgiving?
I'm Canadian. Already had Thanksgiving.
What did you do for Thanksgiving then?
I ate
With your-
Thanksgiving dinner alone.
With your Monopoly money?
My money is better than your money.
You literally have Monopoly money.
It
You can
literally
eat-
is plastic, and you can wash it, and you can't tear it in half.
Monopoly money.
Okay.
We went to a get together because one of my sisters is moving to Iowa.
Oh yeah.
So we did, a few days ago, we did Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas all at the same party.
Wow.
So you dressed up to the party, we ate Thanksgiving dinner, and then we did a Christmas white elephant.
Hell yeah.
So that was
Yeah, we're
fun.
doing like a Thanksgiving thing tomorrow.
Oh, you got huge nuts, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, do you guys have any kind of like closing remarks?
Either way, waifu.
Bet.
What?
Okay, sounds good.
Closing
Nothing?
remarks.
Nothing?
Closing remarks.
Closing remarks. I don't know. Closing remarks. I would say if RP, after hearing this podcast and everything, and if RP is something like what you learned here, more in depth as far as RP goes, if you're interested in it, there's tons of like Discord servers and hashtag families on TikTok that you can contact people and try to figure out if you want to get into it, if you can read more into it. There's so many different types of mediums that you can go to do RP. Like Mr. does GTA RP, like Waifu and I do literary RP, there's World of Warcraft RP, there's so many different places that you can do RP in, and you can kind of just test the waters of so many different places and see if it works for you. If it's not something that you enjoy, then, well, at least you tried it.
Ollie, MrGhoul.
If it's my last thing I'll say is if you're not having fun, don't do it.
Yeah.
Fuck them kids, man. Do you?
Yeah, man. Those kids.
Oh my god, that actually scared me. But I didn't jump because I'm drunk.
I forgot that.
Hey, Panda, thanks for coming, dude. So yeah, I mean, last thing, shout yourselves out. Do like a little plug. Talk about the things you do.
Subscribe to Ghoul Bagel with your Twitch Prime.
Twitch Prime.
Nodders. Any primers? Nodders.
Don't follow me, I'm an asshole. Next.
Follow MrGhoul because he's awesome, and yeah, he doesn't like Dead by Daylight, but he plays Dead by Daylight, and
Facts.
Yep. Just like the rest of
Sometimes
us.
with Junk Puka. Sometimes with Junk Puka.
yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
I play a lot of Dead by Daylight on Twitch, and hopefully one of these days I will stop being my own worst fucking enemy and actually make decent fucking content on
You
TikTok.
always
That's
make
not
decent content.
that's not put a finger down
Can you
challenges.
mute her? Just server me here. Just mute her.
Uh,
As for me, you will find me usually modding in either Waifu Stream or MrGhoul Stream, or pretty much everyone who you know in this community, I usually mod for. So I'm usually in chat, just lurking. Another place that you can find me is TikTok, Instagram, and all of my other stuff is linked in my bio in both my TikTok and my Instagram.
link in bio, bro.
Link in bio.
Hell yeah. Well, yeah, thank you guys for coming for another week. I know I did it again, but here's last week's episode. I always upload them to YouTube. The first one's on Spotify and shit, but I forgot to do it last week. I'm just fucking lazy as shit, dude. I don't give a...
Well, hey, thanks for hosting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I think that's the best shout out I've ever given of myself so far.
MrGhoul.
Just want to toot
Follow
my own
him
horn
there.
for a second there.
Follow him there on the old Twitch. And there's everyone else's links. I think I'm probably going to play DBD. I don't know if you guys want to, but I probably will.
Ew.
I love you, but I played it for like 6 hours today. I'll be in chat though.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I'm going to be playing Shadowlands.
Yeah, I was going to play Shadowlands, but streaming WoW kind of sucks. Unless you're Asmongold.
Yeah. It's true. Truth. Facts. Hard facts.
But yeah, Donkashan for coming, boys. Let's see. Do we have anything? We don't have anything planned for next week yet, do we?
No.
We should have
Well,
Tilty.
Well, if you guys want to make suggestions, ask questions and shit, there's the Google form. Submit suggestions and all that shit.
Yeah. Suggest who we should have on the show.
I'm hoping Tilt. I need to arrange.
I would love to have Tilty on the show.
I need to arrange a time to have him on.
yeah.
He's just so busy, Mr. Big fucking checkmark now. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I really want to have him on 'cause he's like my best friend. But what do I know?
Why don't you end it with a few of your little button pushes of Tilt?
Yeah.
I don't know. Something funny, dude.
That was the perfect one, too.
Check the expiration date, dummy. Just dummy.
Just chilling, eating this Alfredo, dude.
That's so good.
That's my favorite one.
Same. Well, yeah.
It's like it is, but it isn't.
Yeah, give us suggestions on who you want us to have on here.
It's
put
gotta
that
be
link
Tilt,
in.
dude. We just gotta. Yeah, please
Nightmare
share the
accidentally
link.
ordered me McDonald's.
Wow.
What did you order me?
Oopsies.
Get my fucking address off your scam, dude.
I'll put that link
I
in
almost
the.
did that for Chris once. I meant to order myself food and accidentally ordered it for Chris.
I did
How
that
much do I owe
for.
you?
I did that for Starkey a couple weeks ago, when Thana was in town.
The bad news
He wouldn't
is
let me cancel it.
the bad news is like
Cancel it to your chicken.
Chris isn't like anywhere near me to like for us to make the trade. Like he's like a couple states over. So like,
Well, I mean, it auto default. Listen, delete my address from
A
your
junior
fucking
chicken?
skip, dude. Because that's like the third time you've almost done it twice, and then you did do it this time.
not a junior chicken, a junior chicken.
Junior Chikey
That must be Canadian.
and Friayes.
Yeah, it's a Canadian.
That shit
thing,
is
dude.
meh elegant.
And we fucking.
It's not junior chicken. It's junior chikey.
It's not, you gotta know it.
Oh my god.
Jack Chap.
Well,
Flagging.
thank you, folks. I'm glad. I'm glad we had such a good conversation this week, just like last week, and hopefully next week will be just as good.
I
you
look
guys.
forward to Wednesdays.
Well, have a very good rest of your evening. I'm gonna go get hooked for a couple hours, and then have my wife yell at me because I stayed up too late.
Again.
So, yeah. Alrighty. Love you guys.
All right. Love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.